I'm Sam, a second year Cambridge economics student, and this is how I study. The first thing to talk about is flashcards. I love flashcards, and they're the primary tool I use when studying. As I'm sure you know, flashcards enable you to incorporate active recall into your studying. And as I use Anki as my flashcard app, it has a built-in spaced repetition algorithm which enables me to focus on my weaknesses and ensures that all the information on the flashcards is embedded in my long-term memory. Now, I've experimented with a lot of flashcard apps, Brainscape, Quizlet, Cram, etc, but I do believe Anki really is in a league of its own. I particularly like how you can easily insert equations into cards, easily put pictures into cards, and the close feature is also really useful. Above all that, it's completely free. And when doing my flashcards, I find it really useful to have a piece of scrap paper with me so I can derive my answers fully. In terms of making my flashcards, I use the lecture slides provided to me as my main source. However, as the lecture slides are not fully complete, I also add in the gaps to make sure I fully understand processes, models, and methods. But in terms of the making flashcard process, it's pretty much the same thing I've been doing since A-levels and GCSEs. But, as I like to emphasise a lot, it's very important to actually have understood the stuff you're writing down on the flashcards, otherwise there's no point trying to memorise it in the first place. And the way I go about understanding the different models, concepts and ideas that I'm taught is through a method I like to call clumsy understanding. I feel like a lot of YouTube and Instagram influencers love to show these really pretty notes of what they've produced while studying. However, for me, the majority of the notes I make while studying look something like this. Not at all neat, no pastel colours or fancy handwriting, just, well, a mess. But this is because this is how I actually go about understanding the stuff that I'm taught. I systematically go through the models and ideas that I'm taught and add in the intuition behind every step. What this looks like in practice is that I pretty much question why to every step of the process. And once I can fully and completely answer all these why questions, I know that I have understood the concept, topic or idea fully. Again, it's not pretty and it may not work for you, but this is how I genuinely understand the majority of the things that I am taught. The next thing to talk about are breaks. Now, obviously breaks are super important while studying to keep it sustainable, but I believe I adopt a slightly different strategy to most when it comes to taking breaks. I've tried a lot of the stuff out there, and the most common technique, the one you probably know the most, is the Pomodoro technique. Essentially, this involves setting a timer for maybe 25 minutes, then having a 5-minute break, doing this 4 times, and then having a 30-minute break at the end of all of that. However, I found all these techniques, such as the Pomodoro technique, a bit too restrictive. I did find that scheduling breaks beforehand could be effective, but a lot of the time the breaks just disrupted me when I was in a good workflow. Maybe it's just a personality thing, but I find being in a good workflow really important for me when studying. Especially if I'm doing a problem set or I'm going through my clumsy understanding process. And I really don't want to be taking a break if I'm 3/4 of the way through understanding a model or I'm halfway through answering a problem set question. So instead of incorporating any formal technique, I just take breaks when I need breaks. And after many years of studying, I've been able to pretty well figure out when I need a break. To put it plainly, it's when I begin to feel like my brain is slowing down. My focus and concentration begins to slip away, I have to reread things multiple times, and my ability to think critically begins to fade. Now sometimes this could be after 20 minutes of studying, other times this could be after 2 hours of studying. It all depends on the specific thing I'm studying, the time of day, my current energy levels, etc. And I like to have a break where I can completely disassociate with the work I'm doing. Now this could involve talking to someone, getting some food, going on a little walk, or maybe playing a game. And I don't currently time my breaks, but I start to go back to work when I begin to feel fresh again. And I'll do things such as a workout or grab a meal when I'm in need of a lengthier break. And then the next thing to talk about would be music. Now I'm someone who sometimes studies with music and sometimes studies without music. And that's simply because sometimes I find music quite distracting, whereas other times I find it really useful. And I listen to a wide range of music while studying, but the most common genres would probably be some acoustic rock, some lo-fi, or some sort of instrumental music. And I've learned it's just about finding what works for me. For example, during a problem set, I'm more likely to listen to music, where I'm answering flashcards, I'm more likely not to. But I like to vary whether or not I listen to music and what specific type of music I listen to, depending on how I feel, rather than just subscribing to always listening to music or always not listening to music. And now let's talk about my environment when I study. So I usually study at my desk, whether that's at home or at university. And I like studying alone, 1, because I feel more comfortable doing so, and 2, because sometimes I like to play music aloud. I do sometimes study at the library and sometimes do choose to go there, but that's mainly when I'm lacking motivation to study. I find the library a bit more motivating because everyone around you is studying, so you feel a bit more inclined to study yourself. And then in terms of my workspace, I like to keep it pretty clear. Usually it's just my laptop, some pieces of paper, a pencil case, and that's it. And the majority of the time, I try to place my phone away from me when I'm studying. And then the final thing to talk about would be exam practice. Throughout GCSEs, AS levels, and A levels, I would be doing exam practice pretty consistently throughout the whole year. However, since starting university, I save all of my past papers until much closer to the exam season. And this is because at university there's only a limited supply of exam questions I can answer, so I'd rather do these when I'm fully ready to answer them, rather than waste them when I'm not fully ready. However, I am pretty consistently working on problem sets for my supervisions, which pretty much use all the same skills and techniques as exam practice does. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and gained something from how I study. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down below, and as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon.